Yeah, I mean, come on. This is amazing. Holy shit. Alright, we're gonna look at the other one, because this is a newer version. Damn. Oh, he's using the action cam too. Wow. Look at that, dude.
Domination.
Look at that, dude.
Capture and defend forward operation.
This is
Securing
incredible.
Bravo.
Dude, imagine if this was the game. Like, I almost... Dude, I don't even like watching this video, because after I get done watching this video, it's gonna make me feel like... that's the way it's gonna be. Like, I'm gonna feel like the current game just sucks by watching this video.
Enemy UAV overhead.
Look at the orcs, too. Wow. Look at the fucking orcs. Look at that. You know what I really like about this? Is how like this fucking brand new ray trace thing. There's nothing that's gonna make that shitty axe on the right side there by that commander. There's nothing that's gonna make that shitty axe anything else than a shitty axe. Doesn't matter what it is.
Enemy at the forklift.
Run out. Securing Bravo.
What do you guys think about this?
Securing Bravo. We're holding Bravo.
I think this is crazy. It's a shiny axe now? Yeah, I don't know, man. Read the description. Ray tracing view sheet effect can be purchased. Okay, this guy has a Patreon. Or reach my presence there. So hopefully, this guy's basically as a basically an add-on. Which I don't want to like argue about like the technicality of that. But regardless, I think it's really cool to see. I wonder if that's what I'm kind of curious about. He was just walking around. But yeah, this looks really, really fucking nice. See, this looks maybe the game is dark. I don't feel like let me see. Wow, ray tracing review test gameplay. Okay, this is an RTX 2080 Ti. Okay, here we go. This looks like trash. Because honestly, like, I don't know what it's like to be drunk, but isn't this basically how people view things when they're drunk? Where, like, everything's, like, really, really colorful, or, like, on drugs? I don't know, like, okay, yeah, I was right. Looks like dog shit. Well, regardless, you know what it looks like? It looks like, you know whenever you have, like, you're fucking around on Photoshop, and you take the contrast on something, and you turn it up by like 10%, and it makes it look better, and then you convince yourself that it looks better, contrast it, and you just change the color intensity to be like the absolute fucking edge of like maximum color intensity, and it just looks like a disgusting fucking weird shit. That's basically what this is. Let's see, what does the character screen look like? Yeah, this is just awful. Okay, so it looks like we don't really have any other, oh, okay, this is classic value, maybe? Wait, what the fuck? What the fuck was... Wait a second, what was the fucking thumbnail? That was my head at the beginning of the thing, right? Like, I don't want to misunderstand it, but I believe that it was.
have to see this.
same, but maybe a little bit better. Yeah, the colors are more vibrant. There's definitely that. Okay, so we'll look out here. This is outside, and this is with RTX on versus off. It's about the same, man. Not really gonna say it's anything too crazy. Not super excited about that. It's no difference. I don't think there's no difference. It's just not really that crazy. Okay, let me see here. Wait, yeah. Yeah, that is actually me. That's me in the fucking thumbnail. What the fuck? Okay, Ironforge is my city, man. What can I say? Yeah, there's this one. You guys have seen this. Look at this. Yeah, obviously, I don't think the game really should look like this. It's just so much different, but it's like crazy to see, man. The first time I saw this video, it almost made me emotional. Like, I was so fucking... I saw that, I was like, man, reminded me of all the good old days, man. All the good old fucking days. What I like so much is right here, dude. Where they fucking turn off the lights. Look at this, dude. I'm still horny for Grizzly Hills in 2020? Yeah, I am. I've showed you guys this before. Look at that. There it is, dude. It was a good time. Makes me very nostalgic for the old days. People come over, they literally bring their computer over to my house. They would bring their computer over to my house, and we would all sit together and play Wrath of the Lich King. Jeff, his mom, didn't trust him to walk up. I have to walk him back home. It was a very good time, man. Yeah, I'd have to literally walk him home. Little Jeffrey. He was like fucking 2 years younger than me, 3 years younger than me, but she felt bad with me walking, him walking home on his own. I'd literally, like, straight up, dude. I guess I could play this. We would carry, like, it'd be one of us with the monitor and the other one with the PC. Walking up, dragging the fucking, the cords from the keyboard and the mouse all the way up from his house to my house. It was a really, really good fucking time, man. Regardless, we've watched this before, and some of these places do obviously look really, really fucking nice, but, we've watched the video, so I don't want to get too much into that. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Platinum WoW video, then we'll get over to the ban appeals.
This is
Check your gear and weapons. We go soon. Practice is over. The real fight begins now. Battle Royale. Gas is closing on your position. Suggest you get moving. Hostile dropping into the area. Watch the skies. You're clear to engage all targets.
Are you fucking kidding me?
You're in the gulag now. Fight to earn redeployment. You win this fight and you return to the front line. But if you lose, you're done. Earn your way out. Lost the fight. Return to base. You fought hard out there.
Fucking
Return
just
to base when
leave.
ready.
Fucking piece of shit game.
is not a general discussion thread. If you wish to chat, please confine it to the rest of the boards. Thank you. Detail, however, that would be the inattentive gamer's downfall.
In his 1,000-word first post, Ascadia laid out what he called the theory of intersecting points. In the opening of the 2005 PS2 game, a narration describes the origins of the game's world as the resonance of intersecting points. Most assumed that this, like much of the game, was simply metaphorical, but Ascadia thought differently. He identified 4 locations in the game's world, illustrated as glyphs on tiles in the central temple. He placed those locations on a map, and, like the opening voiceover instructed, found the resonance of intersecting points. This, he said, was the clue to the game's final secret. The thread opened simply enough. The first response asks if it's possible to shine a light from Wander's sword directly onto the intersection of those points. A few later, a poster asks if it's possible to use a unique item for anything. The thread picks up steam with more people theorizing about unorthodox elements of the game's geometry, and about 5 pages later, Ascadia summarizes what they found, what they need to do, and what it could all mean in the context of this last great secret. In summary, his enthusiasm is obvious.
I think we're really close to figuring this out, my friend. Just a bit more.
Quest for the last big secret, Mysteries of Shadow of the Colossus, is 562 pages pages long, or 5,662 individual posts. The first post was in December of 2007, the last was in March of 2016. The thread could fill a book. In fact, one of the forum members claims to have had it printed and bound.
I know it seems kinda silly, but has anyone tried doing all the things they've previously tried on their 16th playthrough?
Forum user Snoozy wondered this on January 21st.
Battle Royale. You've got gas closing in fast. Get to the safe zone. Hunt the enemy down. Hostile dropping into the area. Watch the skies. Proceed to the marked location and secure the area.
Oh my god. Fucking little bitch. Are you kidding me?
Gulag now. Fight to third redeployment. The fight is ready. You can taunt the enemy while you're waiting. Words are acts work better. The fight begins now. Get ready, you're next. You win this fight and you return to the front line, but if you lose, you're done. It's time. Break some. Done. We're sending you back to base.
What a
Enemy
great
that one.
game.
We'll be back.
2008, and the suggestion is both absurd and entirely in line with the hundreds of questions that were rolling into the thread. Snoozy's idea, like many of them, makes a sort of twisted sense. There were, after all, 16 Colossi in the game. 16 was clearly an important number in the world of Shadow of the Colossus, and the game's last big secret would obviously be well hidden, so why not? Games have hidden secrets obscenely well in the past. From the first Easter egg in Adventure to the secret characters in Mortal Kombat, earn a double flawless victory without blocking once and then perform a fatality. In addition, the player must be at the pit stage and a flying object must appear in the background sailing in the sky past the moon. The quest to find hidden content is almost as old as the medium itself. Especially in the 21st century, Easter eggs have been in an arms race against the hive mind of the internet. Developers can hide content deeper and deeper within a game, but devoted fans with infinite time between them will almost always find it. To really hide an Easter egg requires an almost imperceptible trail of breadcrumbs.
Warm up while you
Previous to Shadow of the Colossus, Fumito Ueda and his team made Ico, a melancholy game about a boy and a girl escaping from a castle together. Ico was understated, minimalist, cohesive. Ico also had a lightsaber. Did you know Ico has a lightsaber?
Watch the skies.
And it's not just that. To get the lightsaber, you have to take this ball and shoot some freaking hoops, and when you make it, the laser sword gets chucked through the window with all the grace of an empty soda can. So there wasn't quite evidence for a last secret in Colossus, but there was a lot of evidence-adjacent material. There was a mythical interview that Ueda did in which he said there was still more to be found in the game. Or at least that's what people on the forum said. The thread was moving so fast in the early days that sources were just kinda left behind. But more than anything, Shadow of the Colossus just feels like a game that harbors mysteries. Why build endless acres of brilliantly realized nature, then fill them with nothing? On a standard playthrough of the game, you'll barely see half of the Forbidden Lands. I, someone who played this game more times than I can count, still find myself in places and
Battle Royale. Avoid the gas. Get to the safe zone. Soldier incoming. Eliminate all targets in the AO.
Better.
Fucking loser of a game, dude.
I don't think I've ever been here before. With the immensity and detail of the world, it seems almost inevitable that there are things that have yet to be found. As Ascadia said,
It is this same attention to detail, however, that would be the inattentive gamer's downfall.
and secrets had already been found in the game, ones that seemed to point to some deeper mystery. For instance, the secret garden. Now, the existence of the garden wasn't a secret, it features prominently in the game's final cutscene, but with enough stamina, an amount that could really only be achieved by multiple playthroughs of the game, you could climb up the outside of the temple, an agonizingly long climb, and reach this garden. In the garden, you'll come across the same fruits found in the game's wider world, but these fruits would permanently harm your vitality instead of helping it. From this garden, you could run across the bridge that spans a full half the world in length. After reaching the end, you could even see out into the lands beyond, but a powerful wind would always blow you back. And even within this secret, there were further secrets. There was a demo of Shadow of the Colossus, and this demo also contained the garden, but in the demo, the garden was different and weird. In the main game, the garden holds nothing but pure nature. In the demo's garden, there was also a headless body. These discoveries were all known about before Ascadia's thread, but you can see the logic in thinking there must be more. Why hide the garden so completely if there was nothing to do there? Why allow us to get so tantalizingly close to leaving the Forbidden Lands? Why the hell did the demo have a headless body? Furthermore, there are the extra items from the game's time attack mode. After beating the game once, players could attempt to slay each Colossus under a strict deadline. Each pair of Colossi defeated, the game would award a new item, and some of these were fairly straightforward: a mask that did more damage, or a map that showed the locations of all the game's fruit. Others were significantly more unusual. Bomb arrows, a harpoon, a sword that reflected the sun even in the dark, a parachute that, if used correctly, could give a player a much farther jump than normal. Maybe most noteworthy of all was the Queen's Sword, a clear reference to Eco and that game's arch-villain. These items all held gameplay benefits, sure, but for players who had proven themselves able to slay every Colossus in record time, the ability to kill slightly more efficiently seemed anticlimactic. There had to be something more, right? With all this wind at their backs, a growing number of players scoured the minutiae of Colossus's world. Although Ascadia had named the thread, it took a couple more months for someone, a Forumite named Midsize D, to find a true name for themselves.
Keep on scouring the land. I have full faith in you, the Secret Seekers.
Of all the ideas thrown out, Ascadia's original theory of intersecting points still feels the most solid. In the secret garden, as well as the outside of the temple and other stonework in the game, he identified 4 glyphs that corresponded to places in the world. Sort of. Each one is heavily abstracted and shown from directly above, but his illustrations are convincing. This one could be the 2 tall spires that Wander walks between when first entering the Forbidden Lands. This one shows the wall of columns in the 15th Colossus's arena. When taken together, the glyphs form a perfect cross, and the intersection of the cross lies directly over the sunken lake bed in which you fight Celosia, the game's 11th boss. Celosia is unique for a number of reasons. It's by far the smallest Colossus you fought. The fight takes place at the bottom of a deep pit, the only one of its kind in the game. To defeat it, you have to use a blazing torch, the only time you use a temporary item like this. Of course, none of this was as enthralling as the massive door in the back of the arena, bricked up and endlessly curious. It's a genuinely compelling theory, based on just enough evidence to seem like an intentional treasure map. Game design is typically utilitarian by necessity. Making a game is hard and expensive. You don't build a giant stone door for no reason, right? But just as soon as Ascadia posted his theory, the thread was inundated by other questions and theories, many of which seemed equally valid. What were those rings in the desert, and why were they positioned in such a specific way? That beach, the one that looks like it's from Eco, that has to be related somehow. As a matter of fact, is that the castle from Eco in the distance as seen from the top of the bridge? And the hole that Dorman speaks through, why can't that be seen from the secret garden? These unanswered questions form one of the pillars of Shadow of the Colossus's design. You were meant to feel like a stranger in a strange land, and the game's sparse dialogue provides character motivations rather than a comprehensive backstory. And because of how little text there is, everything could be something. A decade ago, I remember reading a 25,000-word plot and theory analysis on GameFAQs, one that sought to find answers for questions like, why is Wander's horse so big? And does Mono become the queen in Eco? Of course, there's virtually no evidence to base anything on, but these conversations led to some legitimately moving theories. Wander's horse is too big for him. But what if their mismatch is because they've been bonded since birth, growing and learning together and forming a connection far more important than any size discrepancy? There's no evidence to discredit this reading, and it makes many of the game's climactic beats hit even harder. But there's no getting around it. The Secret Seekers didn't want interesting headcanon. They wanted substance. They wanted something huge. They wanted a Colossus. It's well documented that Fumito Ueda originally planned 48 giants to battle in the game before cutting it down to 24 and then 16. Was it that inconceivable that Shadow of the Colossus could contain one more for the most dedicated of players? Several months in, the theories were getting wilder. Flight became an obsession for some by careful use of the parachute item, for others by grabbing onto the feet of a bird and hoping. Players obsessed with the desert rings noticed that the sword stuck in the sand the same way it's stuck in a Colossus. Was there some hidden button to hit in the dunes? Disputes among Seekers occasionally broke out on the forum. Some explored higher and farther than ever by exploiting glitches in the game's physics system, while others argued that Ueda would never have required a glitch to find the last great secret. But overall, attitudes remained remarkably positive, like a doomsday cult that had their faith redoubled with every faulty prediction. The thread looked to any source for legitimacy. One user, Chango Martinez, noticed that they had been awarded Post of the Week on the PlayStation forums. That has gotta be some kind of hint from Sony, right? Perhaps the most esoteric rabbit hole the Secret Seekers fell down was that of literary illusion, and this was a topic of discussion since the very beginning of the thread. Ascadia's original post features this impressive gauntlet of biblical and gamic connections.
In the Bible, in Job 41, a creature called a Leviathan is described. Some translations say whale, although the text clearly calls it a sea serpent. So, whale, Leviathan, and serpent are all used interchangeably. This is relevant because defeating a certain number of colossi on hard time attack unlocks the Harpoon of Thunder. This is important because when Dorman is describing Hydrus, he also says a ripple of thunder lurks underwater. The Harpoon's namesake could very well be a direct reference to Hydrus. It is also apparent that Hydrus is meant to resemble a sea serpent.
As the thread's pages escalated into the double, then triple digits, the number of possible connections to other myths and stories escalated as well. One user asked if they could scald Hydrus with a burning stick just as Hercules defeated the Hydra. Another, Super Yorda, found inspiration in the stories of giants in Cornwall by 19th century English writer Robert Hunt. In one such story, the key to a giant's castle was hidden at the end of a narrow path only accessible at low tide. A narrow path, low tide, sounds like the sunken lake bed you fight Celosia in. There was undeniably some level of animosity towards the naysayers. Every couple of pages, someone would pop up in the thread to say, "Hey, I love this game as much as you do, but you're wasting your time here. There's nothing left." And these sentiments would be met with strong rebukes that no, there was something. In fact, there was a lot of evidence that there was something, and if they weren't there to help, they could get out. My favorite one of these interactions is startlingly self-aware. User JoKazWild2 writes,
"After 3 years, you would think someone would have found it by now. What makes you all think this is even real? That there really is a big secret? I guess I just need some convincing. I see all these theories, but has anyone actually found anything more than a theory?"
And almost immediately, Crocodog responds,
If you want to believe it, don't come to the thread. It's the same thing with a church. If you don't believe in God, don't come. No one wants you here if you're just going to say, proof, proof, I want proof. Just leave the ones who want to search for the secret search. Whether or not it exists, it does not matter. They have something to believe in, and that is all they need. If you think the Secret Seekers are wasting their time, then that is nice for you. Goodbye.
They have something to believe in, and that is all they need. What an unbelievably self-aware thing to say, right? The Secret Seekers were still going 100+ pages in with no new evidence, but they believed. Is it going too far to say that these Seekers embodied the same mentality as Wander, the protagonist of Colossus? refusing to take the obvious answer, digging deeper and deeper into the unknown to find a truth they demanded exist? On August 28, 2008, a new user named Peacall appeared on the thread with an enigmatic first post, a link to a YouTube video on his own account saying, "Watch this, guys, you'll find it quite interesting." The YouTube channel has since been terminated, but it's obvious from the forum's reaction that Peacall's discoveries were different than the thousands of previous posts. He was standing in impossible locations, clipping through impenetrable walls, throwing himself all over the map. Peacall was emulating. And for the Church of the Secret Seekers, Peacall was at once an unbelievable gift and a crisis of faith, because for the first time they had someone who could actually pull back the curtain. The thread had been chipping away for months and months at the most obstinate pieces of the game's geometry, and now Peacall, like a god, could walk through solid rock and prove definitively that there was nothing. We have to finally face the music. There is no 17th Colossus. There's nothing beyond the door in Selosia's arena, no way to ride a hawk to the top of the Shrine of Worship. The mythical interview with Ueda never materialized. But does that mean there's no last great secret? Well, here's the thing. Did Peacall kill the god of the Secret Seekers cult? Kinda, yeah. But what he offered instead was almost as good. Boundless technical information about the world of Shadow of the Colossus. Peacall was quickly joined by the still active Nomad Colossus, and together they comprehensively mapped the Forbidden Lands in a way that had never been done before. There was disappointment, sure. It turns out that the theory of intersecting points was a bust, and the Dorman hole didn't hide much of anything. But there's amazing stuff, too. Far outside the bounds of the game, Peacall found an enormous dam, beautifully constructed and entirely unused. Nomad went on to discover mountain ranges, plateaus, great glitchy plains, and expanses of oceans. Things never before seen. And the beautiful thing about that original forum thread is it kept going. For hundreds of pages it kept going. Some still hoped for the last great secret, but most everyone was really in it for the knowledge now, to put together every last piece of data possible on this piece of art they all loved so much. Shadow of the Colossus kept on giving far after its creators ever expected it to. I adore the dedication. I especially love all those attempts to connect it to the Bible, to Hercules, to Robert Hunt, because although they didn't ultimately result in a 17th Colossus, that's literary analysis, baby! That's basically all I do on this channel. People pay schools thousands of dollars to get classes in making these kinds of connections, and here are forum users with a Crash Bandicoot icon learning how to do it with a PS2 game. Nomad Colossus, probably most dedicated of anyone, has unearthed an incredible wealth of information on the game. He's found the probable locations of all 24 originally planned Colossi. He's investigated demo discs, unearthed unused items. His plotting of the geography is so complete that the PS4 remake of the game even used his videos for reference footage. And when the game came out, Bluepoint, the team that made it, actually thanked him in the credits. Special thanks, Nomad Colossus. And the 79 Steps to Enlightenment? Whoa, look, we've gone down this road before. That last search was fun, for sure, but let's not go jumping to conclusions about random numbers. We've been burned before. But, like, if they were, that... Okay, fuck it, what are the 79 steps? Hidden around the Forbidden Lands, newly realized and pristine current-gen graphics are tiny gold sparks, fireflies maybe, or elusive coins. Get near enough to one and you'll get a subtle wind chime sound. Get closer and you can collect it. Not marked on the map, not referenced in any game text, but they're there. Finding even one feels like a freak accident. Nomad Colossus, and the 79 Steps to Enlightenment. For one final time, scour the Forbidden Lands, chart every cave, scale every mountain, every toppled tree matters, every twist of the coast. This was it. 13 years later, 560 pages of forum threads, every square foot of this beautiful barren landscape examined, and at the end of it all, 79 steps to enlightenment. to open this never open door, to descend into this untouched chamber below the shrine of worship. Take a minute to reflect on the fact that this is exactly what the Secret Seekers wanted. Just a little more, just one final mystery to solve. Take a minute more to think about Ascadia, Pikol, Nomad Colossus, all the hundreds of others whose commitment and hopes and passions made this possible. This chamber is a manifestation of that continued will. Here is a community that was so willing to just believe that more than a decade on, a group of developers took their energy and harnessed it into something real. And what is the last great secret? It's a hidden chamber with a throne and a sword. It's not that much. But also, it's everything.
Nice.